The sky above the distant planet was a swirl of green and purple clouds, crackling with strange energy. A lone figure descended from the stars in a sleek, silver spacecraft. Her name was Zyra, a warrior from the Andari Dominion, a race known across galaxies for their strength and unmatched technology. Her glowing eyes scanned the planet below with disdain. "Another human world," she muttered. "Primitive, weak, and easy to conquer." Zyra landed on a rocky plateau, her boots crushing the alien stone with ease. She pulled out her energy blade, its hum sharpened the quiet air. Around her, the wind howled through jagged cliffs, carrying the scent of unfamiliar plants. The planet was alive, but Zyra barely noticed. She had faced hundreds of worlds and thousands of creatures. Humans were the last thing she feared. Far below the plateau, a human warrior moved cautiously through the forest. Captain Ethan Ward was nothing like Zyra expected. His armor was simple, battered from battles he had survived on Earth. His weapon looked old-fashioned, a plasma rifle, not nearly as advanced as Zyra's energy blade. Ethan did not know the alien had arrived yet. He was focused on scouting the area, following a mission to study this strange world. His eyes were sharp, his senses alert. Something in the air felt wrong. Suddenly, the wind shifted. A shadow fell across the forest floor. Ethan froze. From above, Zyra leapt down, landing silently on the rocks near him. Her figure was imposing, her movements precise, and her confidence radiated like a storm. "You are weak," she said, her voice cold and musical, echoing through the trees. "I could crush you in a moment, human." Ethan raised his rifle, but he didn't panic. He had faced danger before. "I don't think so," he said calmly, though his heart raced. Zyra smirked. "You think? That is your only advantage." With lightning speed, she struck. Her energy blade sliced through the air, aiming straight at Ethan. He ducked instinctively, rolling behind a boulder for cover. The blade hit stone with a deafening crash, sending sparks flying. Ethan realized quickly that this was no ordinary human versus human fight. Zyra moved faster than anything he had faced. But he was not just a soldier, he was human. Clever, adaptable, and fearless. He aimed his plasma rifle and fired a series of precise shots, aiming for the alien's joints and sensors. Zyra deflected the shots effortlessly with a shield that shimmered like liquid metal. She laughed softly. "Pathetic," she whispered. "Is this your strongest attack?" Ethan knew brute force wouldn't work. He had to think differently. He darted between rocks, using the terrain as cover. He dropped small explosives near Zyra, hoping to distract her. The explosions rocked the ground, and she stumbled slightly. For the first time, Ethan saw hesitation in her eyes. Zyra's expression darkened. She was not used to her opponents surviving even one strike, let alone dodging attacks and thinking strategically. "You are more than I expected," she hissed, her voice tight with annoyance. "But I will not be defeated by a human." The wind picked up, carrying ash and dust around them. Ethan's heart pounded, but he remained calm. Humans had survived worse. He had survived worse. Zyra lunged again, faster this time, striking with the precision of a predator. Ethan barely rolled away, the energy blade scraping the ground where he had just stood. He kicked a loose boulder toward her, and though it barely slowed her, it gave him a moment to plan his next move. For a brief moment, they circled each other. Ethan's chest rose and fell, but his mind raced. He observed her movements, her patterns, and her overconfidence. This was his chance. "Humans are clever," he muttered under his breath. Zyra, sensing a pause, attacked again with a flurry of strikes. Each one was deadly accurate, each one meant to kill. Ethan ducked, jumped, and rolled with everything he had. The forest became a blur of rocks, sparks, and flashing blades. Then Ethan did something unexpected. He triggered a decoy device he had brought with him, a small holographic projection of himself running in the opposite direction. Zyra froze for a split second, confused by the double image. That tiny hesitation was all Ethan needed. He launched himself toward a higher cliff and grabbed a ledge, pulling himself out of reach. Zyra's eyes narrowed. Her blade struck where he had been, cutting deep into the stone. For the first time, she felt the sting of real challenge. "You are strong for a human," she admitted, her pride wounded. "But strength alone will not save you." Ethan took a breath, keeping low. "It's not just strength," he replied, "it's survival." Zyra's smirk faded, replaced by focus. She realized this fight would not be easy. Humans were not weak. Not one bit. And this one Ethan was clever, fast, and resilient. The wind howled louder now, carrying sparks and dust as if the planet itself was watching the confrontation. Both warriors prepared for the next attack, circling, waiting for the perfect moment. Neither would give ground. The scene froze in tension, the moment thick with anticipation. Who would strike first? Could the human survive the next deadly blow? And above them, in the swirling sky, a storm of energy began to form, a storm that promised even greater danger. The storm above the plateau had grown darker, streaks of green and purple lightning cutting across the sky. The wind carried a strange hum, vibrating in rhythm with Zyra's pulse. She stood on the rocky cliff, her eyes scanning the forest below. Somewhere in that tangle of trees, the human warrior moved. Ethan was crouched behind a fallen tree, watching the alien from a distance. His mind raced, analyzing her movements, predicting her attacks. He wasn't just fighting for survival, he was trying to understand an enemy unlike any human had faced before. Then, without warning, the forest seemed to shift. Roots and rocks quivered, kicked up by Zyra's landing. She didn't run, she didn't hesitate. With supernatural speed, she appeared above Ethan, her shadow falling over him like a dark omen. "You cannot hide from me, human," she said, her voice calm but filled with menace. Ethan rolled to the side as her energy blade slashed where he had just been. Sparks flew from a rock she had cut cleanly in half. He fired his plasma rifle, aiming at her legs to slow her down. The shots glinted off her shield, barely scratching her. "Clever," Zyra muttered. "But cleverness will not win you this fight." This time, she did something unexpected. She didn't attack directly. Instead, she leaped high, landing on a cliff above, forcing Ethan to look up. From her vantage point, she could strike from any angle. Her presence was dominating. The forest became her arena, and every tree, every rock, every shadow was a weapon in her hands. Ethan knew brute force alone would not work. Humans survived because they adapted, because they fought differently. He glanced at the environment, a cluster of jagged rocks near a narrow ravine. An idea sparked. Zyra lunged, her energy blade whistling through the air. Ethan dodged, leading her toward the cliffside. With a flick of his wrist, he triggered a series of small explosives he had planted along the path. Each explosion sent rocks tumbling, forcing Zyra to adjust mid-attack. For the first time, frustration flashed across her face. She was used to instant victory. She was used to opponents who ran and fell, who panicked and surrendered. This human, he fought differently. "You are infuriating," she hissed, her eyes glowing brighter. "You survive everything I throw at you." Ethan took a deep breath, his heart racing. "It's not about surviving everything," he muttered under his breath. "It's about surviving the unexpected." He rolled behind another rock and tossed a reflective shard from his kit toward Zyra. The shard caught the lightning from the storm above and created a blinding flash. Zyra stumbled, momentarily disoriented. That tiny moment was enough for Ethan to climb higher onto a ridge, gaining a new vantage point. "Humans, so fragile, yet so unpredictable," Zyra whispered. Her smirk was gone. There was respect now, mixed with anger. The battle escalated. Zyra struck with every ounce of her strength, a storm of blades and energy arcs. Ethan ducked, twisted, and ran, using the terrain to his advantage. Each time he dodged, he studied her patterns, learning, predicting. Humans had survived worse enemies on Earth, enemies far stronger than this alien. And he would survive this. Then came the first real twist. Ethan triggered a hidden mechanism in the ground, a trap that released thick, sticky fibers from the planet's native plants. The fibers shot out and wrapped around Zyra's legs. She roared in frustration, breaking free only after immense effort. But the fibers slowed her, just enough for Ethan to strike back. He fired his plasma rifle at the power core of her armor, a weak point he had observed from her movements. Sparks erupted, and for the first time, Zyra staggered backward. "You are learning," she growled, her tone dark and sharp. "But this ends now." The storm above them raged louder. Lightning split the sky, striking close to the cliff edge. Ethan's pulse quickened, but he remained calm. Every move counted. Every thought mattered. Zyra lunged again, her energy blade glowing brighter than ever. Ethan dodged, rolled, and leapt into the air. He grabbed a loose boulder and sent it crashing toward her. She blocked it effortlessly, but the distraction was enough. Ethan ran toward a narrow ravine, using its sharp edges and steep slopes as an obstacle course against her. "You survive, because you think differently," Zyra shouted, her voice almost admiring now, though tinged with rage. Ethan didn't reply. He simply kept moving, keeping his mind one step ahead. Humans weren't the strongest in the universe. But they were clever, relentless, and resilient. The first part of the battle had proven one thing: Ethan was no ordinary human, and Zyra had underestimated him. Above them, lightning cracked, the storm intensifying. And deep in the forest beyond, shadows moved, other dangers that neither warrior had noticed. The fight was far from over. But one thing was certain: the human was no longer the weak opponent Zyra had expected. The storm had reached its peak. Green and purple lightning split the sky, illuminating the jagged cliffs and dark forests below. The air itself seemed charged with energy, crackling around Zyra and Ethan like a living force. Zyra's breathing was sharp. Her armor, though powerful, had taken damage from Ethan's clever attacks. For the first time, she felt real fatigue, real doubt. She had never faced a human like this. Never. Ethan crouched low behind a boulder, sweat and dirt streaking his face. His rifle was hot, his hands a little shaky, but his mind was clear. Humans survived not because they were the strongest, but because they never gave up. He looked at Zyra, standing tall but clearly struggling to maintain her focus. "You thought I was weak," Ethan said, voice steady despite the chaos. "You were wrong." Zyra's eyes glowed with anger and something new: respect. She lunged forward, energy blade cutting a bright streak through the storm. Ethan rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. Sparks flew, and a chunk of the cliffside exploded where his head had been moments before. He knew brute force alone would never win this fight. He had to use the environment, the storm, even the aliens' overconfidence against her. Then he saw it, a deep ravine nearby, jagged rocks and cliffs creating the perfect trap. He sprinted toward it, drawing Zyra's attention. She followed, eager to finish what she believed would be an easy victory. Ethan paused at the edge of the ravine. Using all his strength and precision, he triggered a mechanism he had prepared, collapsing part of the cliffside. Rocks and debris tumbled down, and Zyra, caught off guard, barely managed to leap aside. "Impressive, human," she muttered, narrowly regaining her balance. But the hesitation in her movements was enough. Ethan leapt into action. He used a combination of agility, quick thinking, and raw courage to climb the cliffs, maneuvering around obstacles that Zyra could not anticipate. He tossed plasma grenades, used reflective surfaces to blind her, and manipulated the storm to his advantage. Zyra roared, striking with deadly precision. Her attacks were faster than lightning, more powerful than any weapon on Earth. But Ethan was unpredictable. Every human instinct, every split-second decision, every ounce of courage kept him just out of reach. Then came the moment that changed everything. Ethan spotted a weak point in Zyra's armor, a joint slightly exposed after her previous stumbles. With careful aim, he fired a charged plasma shot directly at it. The armor shattered at the point of impact, sparks flying. Zyra stumbled, caught off balance, her energy blade slipping from her grasp for just a moment. That moment was all Ethan needed. He moved faster than he had ever moved before, striking with precise timing and strategy. Using a combination of his environment, intelligence, and courage, he disarmed Zyra and pinned her to the ground. You're stronger than I expected," Zyra gasped, her pride wounded but her respect undeniable.
Ethan stood tall, bloodied but unbroken. "Humans survive," he said simply. "We adapt. We fight. And we never give up." For the first time, Zyra understood. Humans were not weak. Not fragile. Not easy to defeat. They were clever, resilient, and capable of facing even the most powerful warriors in the galaxy. Lightning struck the cliffs around them, illuminating the battered but victorious human warrior. Zyra looked up at him, her pride broken but her respect earned. She had underestimated humanity, and now she knew the truth. The storm began to calm, as if the planet itself acknowledged the outcome. Ethan lowered his weapon, his breathing heavy but steady. Around him, the forest and cliffs were scarred from the battle, yet he stood alive, proof of human resilience. Zyra slowly rose, dust and sparks clinging to her armor. She nodded once, a gesture of honor in the alien way. Then, without another word, she leapt back toward her ship and vanished into the stormy sky. Ethan watched her go, the adrenaline fading but a sense of awe taking its place. Humans were small in the galaxy, but they had something no alien could replicate: courage, intelligence, and the will to survive. He turned toward the horizon, the storm clearing behind him. This victory was not just his, it was humanity's. And the galaxy had just witnessed that humans were far more dangerous than anyone, even a powerful alien warrior, had ever imagined.